Hello, my loves, and a warm welcome to the 14th episode of the Dadaxi. I'm really happy that you're here with me today again. And I have so much to tell you. I'm really happy, I'm really stoked, and I really hope that I don't forget anything. So, what I want to make this episode about is stories. So, on one hand, that's the stories that we tell ourselves. It's the stories that we are born into culturally, or societally, or even within the family. And it's also about the power that we give these stories. And so the thing that inspired me is a book I currently read. I read it in German. It's called Ohne Wurzeln keine Flügel. Without roots, no wings. And it's about family constellations. Um, um, a practice that was founded by Bert Hellinger. There is a lot of controversy around Hellinger's work, but I don't want to go into that too deeply because, like always, when people do things that are not agreeable with science and its structures, people like get really bad recognition, or like, I don't know the word right now, but they just get dismissed, right, by the scientific community or by the therapeutical community. And so I don't want to go into that too much because I always believe that it's about the practitioner who uses the knowledge that was found. And I really respect Hellinger for the work he did because it's amazing what he found out. And like, I do family constellations at the moment myself, like not in my work, but personally. And I am amazed by what they are able to do, especially because I'm so familiar with the work of Carl Gustav Jung, which is like my all-time hero. And like all his work is based on archetypes. And family constellations are nothing else but archetypes, but they are very vivid archetypes that actually live within you. They live within that body time palace that I spoke about last week. So, and these constellations point so strongly towards the stories that our ancestors lived. Like last week I spoke about when your parents don't have like certain rooms within their body time palace or not filled with their chi because they kind of left them out. That's what in shamanic ways we will call like lost soul parts. Then there is a possibility that you are born with certain lost soul parts. And family constellations shows that on a very profound level because you live through it. And now I read this book and there are such amazing examples that like take even deeper what I already knew. So like there are stories from like a woman that like she lived in France and she had panic attacks all the time and she felt like she was suffocating, but there was nothing like she had cancer in her throat, but it was removed. But even after the operation, like physically, she should have been able to breathe normally, but she wasn't. And she always had like this feeling of like, yeah, like in her neck that something's wrong. And then with family constellation therapy, they found out that several of her relatives were killed by the guillotine in France like 200 years before she lived. So that's like how time works, if we want to even call it time. That, you know, everything lives on until somebody has the courage to face it. And now we can look at that from a victim point of view and we can think, oh my God, I have all this burden and they didn't look at it. Or we can look at it as a blessing. I believe that we're some of the first generations that actually have the wealth. And with that wealth comes the space to actually explore in depth what is there stored within this body time palace. And I think it's no coincidence that so many people started yoga and all these things, because yoga is an access point to access your subconscious levels. And many people experienced that they started yoga and at some point they started their healing journey. And they didn't start yoga because they wanted to heal. They didn't know that they needed to heal something. But yoga makes the chi flow. Same with qigong, tai chi, whatever. Like it makes the chi flow. Even kung fu, like all the martial arts that involve some part of movement of the chi through the body, they make you aware of your body time palace and of the stories that are stored within. And then you will suddenly feel like, oh, maybe I should like do that or get that, or like that's how it starts. And when we switch the perspective and look at it from a powerful point of view, it's that, first of all, as I said already, we are blessed to look at these things in depth and have the time and the space to process what is shown within our systems. But on the other hand, it makes us very aware of how powerful we are. By like when we free ourselves from certain stories that were never ours, but we were born into them, we empower so much more of ourselves. And by empowering ourselves, we empower our communities and we empower the whole world in total. And through that experience of understanding how much emotional energy I can store within a story, I understand that my emotional energy is my power. And that's exactly the exciting news that I want to share with you today, because like I have a new training that I will offer, and I call it Become a Magician, or Learned How to Do Magic. And it's exactly about that. Like, it's like everything that you didn't learn in the school of life that should have been taught to you. Like, like all of us were taught how to use our physical bodies, like only to a certain extent, because nobody taught us how to use them sexually. That's why so many of us are porn influenced. And nobody taught us how to use them on a metaphysical level. And that's what I'm going to teach you. So, like, we are born into this vessel that is the physical body, right? And we have emotions, visions, and thoughts that are our tools to interact with reality. And usually, nowadays, because nobody taught us how to use these tools and what they are, they turn against us. Yeah, most people suffer from their thoughts. Most people suffer from their emotions. And most people suffer from their visions. And a lot of it has to do with there being stored so much energy of yours that actually turns towards you for help, because you are the source of that energy. You are the master of that energy. You can like imagine like it being like a couple of wolves inside of you, and they turn towards you because you are the alpha. And they are not poking at you or trying to hurt you because they want to kill you or are threatening you, but because they want to remind you of your own power. Your power lies within mastering your emotions. Your power lies within mastering your thoughts. Your power lies within mastering your visions. That's where your power lies. And everything on the outside or in the matrix is designed to keep your attention away from that truth. all of it is designed to influence your emotions, influence your thoughts, influence your visions about your life and yourself. Also, everything you were taught in school. And the training I'm going to do is to get you back into your power and make you understand that these are tools and you are the master of them. And of course, I'll show you how to master these things. And of course, I will not just train you and then leave you alone with it, but this will be like an ongoing thing. I will build a community around this. And to me, it's just so exciting because that's kind of what I had to teach myself. And in some aspects, I'm still teaching myself. But like right now, Spirit just was like, okay, now it's the time. Like I played with this thought for quite some time now, but it was always like, no, like I want to like, here we are again, heal more, do more of that, do more of this. And now it was just like, no, we have to go now. It's good now. Because I know that a lot of people feel this, that the energy increases like crazily at the moment. So a lot of people start to feel more energy within them and they don't know what to do with it. And that's exactly what I'm teaching you. And because it's so aligned with the Tao and with the flow of things, it will have a container that I'm still working on with Spirit, but like it will be very flowing and it will be such a beautiful training that will really like, yeah, it will have a big impact if you decide to participate. Because also what we're going to look at a little bit is human design, and I'm a manifester. So what my talent is to, like, I transform things very quickly when you're around me, and I make you aware of things very quickly when you're around me. And like it's a very strong energy that not everybody can deal with. And like I'm aware of that and I'm okay with that completely, because not everybody wants to dive deep or fly high, and that's totally okay. But that's what I'm all about. And like if you feel that like life maybe is also a bit boring or empty, or where did the magic go, or why did I never find it, this training is for you, because the magic is always there. It's about the stories you tell yourself about your life, about your existence, and about the universe in general, and the stories that you keep repeating to yourself about these things that actually keep you away from magic. If you want to find magic, that's what keeps you away, because magic is always there. It's always right in front of you where you are. And I didn't learn that from, like, there's natural magic, which would be like witch magic that you practice with essential oils or crystals, or you just like use things from the earth to practice it, right? And then there is high magic, where you like mostly use visualizations to do things. And mine is like more like kind of a deep magic. It's like really very a spiritual approach to magic. It's an approach that you can include in any kind of practice. No matter if you practice natural magic or high magic, you will be able to infuse what I teach you into that. No matter if you teach yoga, or you're a hairdresser, or you're a tattoo artist, or you do jewelry, or you do special perfumes, or whatever you do in your life, you produce music, what I teach you will enhance the magic within that. And where I got it from is Zen. It's not based on natural magic, it's not based on high magic, it's based on Zen practice. It's based on Zen practice and quantum physics. So we really take a deep dive into what stories do we tell ourselves about what reality is and how fixated it is. And where are the examples within our lives that actually prove that reality is not fixated? Like, if you were born like I, maybe in the 80s or 90s, and you still believe that the world doesn't change, look around you again. Like, recording this podcast wouldn't have been possible 20 years ago in the way I do it now. And I think that's fascinating. And I think that's also some proof of magic here. So, there are a lot of stories, not only like the painful ones, um, but also just like very limiting ones in our heads. And now, like, what is also very important to me, like, I'm not teaching you to manifest your best life. That's very important to me because, like, what I teach you is how to attain a perspective on life that makes you content and fulfilled, even when the road gets rocky. Okay? Because I do not believe that you can manifest a life that will never trigger you again, that will never be unperfect again, when you want a real life. And I'm all about the real things. Yeah, we're here in school. Life is also a school where we can learn how to be magicians, for example. But like all the ups and downs of life are teachings. So what I want to give you is the Zen perspective of, the good things can be bad in the long run, and the bad things can be good in the long run. So we never know. The best way to enjoy life is to get out of the perspective of knowing everything and judging everything. You can always have your opinion, Like I often say like, okay, this sucks right now, but I don't know what it will be good for in the future. So I will not focus too much on what sucks right now, but I will focus on what not sucks right now, and I will see how what sucks right now will like maybe transform if I don't constantly stare at it. Yeah? Because that's what we also will learn very deeply is, we all heard the saying, where attention goes, energy flows. And it's a beautiful saying, and, but this is very deep. Like, if you read the newspaper every day, stop it, because that's where your attention goes. There are so many things that we unconsciously lose our focus on ourselves and on the reality we want to create. And again, it's not about manifesting like millions of bucks and the house of your dreams and whatever. My training is about realizing that you are always at the perfect spot at the perfect time to learn what you came to learn here, and to align you again with that soul part of yours that still remembers that you chose this. Because when you understand that everything that you go through here is the training you booked for your life on earth, you will get so much more peaceful. And when you understand your human design, like I'm not a human design teacher, like I'm not trained in that, but through my work with archetypes, I have this very easy language to describe complex things. I think that's also what most people attracts towards me. And so I understand human design from an archetypical level. And I know how the flow of energy from the hara, this is what I will teach you, how the flow of energy works through the different human design systems. And even if you're a person that that will not resonate with human design at all, I also know a lot about the Mayan calendar. So we'll then just look into that or into your normal astrological sign. So just like this will only be a little part of the training, but I think it's important because like if I would teach you how energy flows within my system, it wouldn't be accurate for yours because we are different in that. So yeah, it's going to be super interesting and I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, what else did I wanted to say? The stories, exactly. So, stories are the one thing that I believe the whole universe is. Like in my book, Being Human, a Travel Guide, I say that I strongly believe, or I know, that the universe is a being that tells itself a story. Yeah. And we are all participants in that story, infused with a little drop of that whole ocean that is that energy. And to a large part, the story that we tell ourselves was written when we were between 1 and 3 years old. And this story that was written when we were 1 to 3 years old isn't in our minds. That story is in our bodies because until the age of 3, we are physical. That's until the brain develops to actually, like, I said that before. I will say it many more times again. To me, the aura is like an energy field or an electromagnetical field that gets emitted by the brain, but also by the guts. Because we have bacteria in our guts that produces energy, like electrical energy. So, and also from our hearts. So we have these three physical points that emit energy. And the emotion, like everything that gets processed in the brain. It gets processed in all three to some extent, but for what I want to say now, this will be enough. So the brain hasn't fully developed until we are 3 years old. And that's why these other aspects of our aura, being the emotional body and the physical body, only get developed from the age of 3 onwards. Like that's when I see it, new colors or new, like I more like perceive it as frequencies. Like babies younger than age 3, they are like astral body and physical body. And that's what's there. So that's why they're also completely in the now, like completely immersed in what's happening, completely absorbing what's happening. And then from there on, slowly the other two bodies emerge, and also the aura gets bigger and more dense. It's always the same, like, it's always the same width, but it gets more density somehow. Like, it's very hard to explain in human words, but anyways. So, like, to access these stories, I do not necessarily think that psychotherapy is the solution. Like things like family constellations might be a way better access, or what I also really like is craniosacral therapy, or osteopathy, because they really, like we have this. Like I'm no specialist, but what I know from my research is that we have like this kind of tact in our brain, and what craniosacral does is it kind of, through touching the body in certain parts, it brings back the brain to that tact. And it's like, for me, it's crazy what I feel because I have this denseness in my, like, stiffness in my neck often. That's also what I'm looking at in family constellations now. And when my therapist does craniosacral, like the energy flows like through my whole spine down to my legs, and it's just like it's a different feeling within my body. And I'm like, every time, like, wow, that's how it should actually feel. I'm very curious what story I have stored in my neck so it can't do that. And yeah, like to me, like therapy started to be something that I like even like to do when I started doing it with a physical aspect. So as long as I was doing talk therapy, nothing changed because I have a very strong ego and I have a very strong mental body, and my mental body shields me because it wants to protect me, and because I don't have like the best experiences with humans. To some extent, it will shield me from somebody that just comes at me mentally. But when somebody builds the trust with me that they can touch me physically, and a good therapist builds that trust first, because before, like in craniosacral, they will only touch you like on your hip, like very slightly, and your leg or your feet. So it's not like anything like that crosses boundaries or anything, but still, like a good therapist knows that when you're very traumatized, and this can come from like developmental trauma that you don't know about because it happened like maybe when you're very young, or when like it happened to your parents or their parents or their parents, because we know now that it's all stored within you when they didn't look at it or it wasn't cleared at some point. Um, like not all get stored within you. Yeah, if you have siblings, they maybe carry other things than you. We don't carry everything. That like that's we can't look at that right now and really see what's going on, like how it gets over. Yeah. I mean, maybe at some point in the future we will, but like it's not that you just carry everything, but you resonate, your energy frequency resonates with some stories in your family history, and these stories that you resonate with will be stored in your body. And then maybe your sister or your brother will resonate with others because they have another energy signature, right? That they were born with. So they maybe resonate with other stories and they carry other stories, okay? So just so you know, like, I just really don't want to get anybody into victim mode because it's not victim. Like, it's, like we resonate with the bad things, but we also resonate with the good things. I strongly believe that we also get all our talents from these resonations with our family members. Like I have a lot of artists in my family that never really were able to live from their art. So I think it's also like I know that it kind of felt like my duty once I started to work as a tattoo artist to live from that as well, and that's also a constellation. And I want to look at that as well because, like, right now, I feel it's so much fun to just let go of all the stories to actually look at what totally new story I can live. Um, that, like, I don't mind letting go of stories that serve me as well. It's a very interesting process. But yeah, let's go back to the physical aspect of therapy. And I really strongly recommend to you if you feel that maybe like, you've been to therapy and it didn't help, but you still feel like you need help, or if you feel like maybe a different approach than talk therapy, because, like, I do not even believe that all the time you have to talk about things, like sometimes we do like maybe craniosacral therapy, and suddenly I have these feelings coming up like I'm chained on my foot, and I have this like really weird feeling on my foot, and then she just says, yeah, like I say what I feel, and she says, yeah, it's okay, like just like be aware of it, but let it go as well. It's not, you're not there anymore. And then when before I had these problems maybe with my foot, suddenly they're gone. And so it's not that, we have to dive into, oh my God, I lived a life that where I was chained in a cellar with my foot. I mean, if I'm interested in that, of course I can dive into it, but I don't need to. It's just like, it was there, it was in the body. Now we we paid it attention. We included it into the system. We were like, oh, you're here, you are part of my past. It's okay now. We are not chained anymore. And then you can let go. Oftentimes it's like really easy as that, or maybe we have to cry a lot and we don't know why, but something just changes. And it's really crazy how you then feel it in your body, that you like it gets cold at in that area where you felt something different before. It gets cold because it's something is processing, something lets go. So you can really feel it on a physical level, and that's like it's just pure magic to me. I think it's very beautiful. And yeah, it's just like, to me, like, because I don't look at it from victim mode, it's such a big blessing, that our body stores all of this. So, I mean, imagine we would still have the symptoms, but they wouldn't be stored in our bodies. So then we would lose access. Then, like, all the stories that went before ours would shape ours. We wouldn't have any way of getting out of it because the access to the stories would be lost. So, physical reality kind of is the storage of the stories. The physical body is the storage of that time. And the more we just give it all back to where it belongs and free our own story from all the stories that went before ours, the more we can actually walk into a different future. And the more we become the master of our own chi, and the more we do not subconsciously, and believe me, I'm such an aware person, but I wasn't aware of some of the things that really shaped my behavior before I started family constellations. Like, so deep stuff that, like, like it shapes certain parts of your behavior, like being super hard on yourself might not come from school only. Yeah, like to me, it came from like my ancestors who had to live through war with super many siblings and they weren't like worth anything. So I had inside of me like this super strong inner critic, like it always needs to be super hard. I always need to fight. It can never be easy. If it's easy, something's wrong. And that came from there. And like you give it back and you heal it, and suddenly your life feels completely different because you understand that so much of even the art you made was a reaction to that pain, the echo of that pain that was inside of my body time palace. And now I understand where that echo came from and I gave it back and it's not echoing anymore. And suddenly I feel so free and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? I can do everything. Oh my God, I'm so free. Like, I don't owe them anything. I don't have to like solve their issues. Like, and I didn't know that I felt like I had to. That's the crazy thing. That's the super crazy thing. And that's why I'm like just amazed. Like, I'm just amazed. You feel it, right? With these stories that we tell ourselves over and over and over again. Like, I wanted to write a book at some point, I never did. It was called The Patterns of the Self. Maybe I'll still write it. Um, and like the more I dig into family constellations, the more I understand what I really meant with that. And I also described it in the last podcast when I talked to you about you are this energy frequency that kind of emerges from the all one into this physical reality, and then you emerge into these patterns that are already there, be they cultural, be they societal, be they from your family in the first place. So you get into that, you get glazed by these patterns, and these are the patterns of the self. Yeah. And then the more healing we do, the more of these patterns we actually like, they're like, I don't know, tied up knots. And the more of these knots that we untie that our ancestors couldn't, the more of our unique energy system can emerge and the more of ourselves we become. And I believe that that's the true thing to aim for. Like, I don't want to manifest like this life or that life or this partnership or that partnership. I want to like emerge as purely as possible from all that, like a lotus flower. That's why the lotus is the spiritual symbol in Buddhism or for spirituality, to emerge from this mud that is like also soil. It's very nurturing. From all that stuff that happened in the past, emerge as this beautiful flower that I was born as at some point, and all of us were. And I think that's what I'm aiming for also with becoming the magician, becoming that pure lotus flower. And I think for some people that will take that training, it might come with additional therapy. I have a big network of amazing people that I can like recommend you. Be they working in a traditional shamanic way, which I don't. Like I do not work very traditionally because I wasn't initiated in traditionally, but I have beautiful shaman friends that I can refer you to, or I have trauma therapists I can refer you to. Like if during the work or during the training something would show up, and of course I'm also very qualified to soothe everything down that might be triggered, and like I'm very experienced in that and in nervous system care and all of these things, so there is nothing to worry about. But just so like I feel that for some that the work will go deeper than the training only. But yeah, I'm super excited about this. I'm so happy. And it's like, like it's again this manifestor thing. Like I will tell you a little bit about me being a manifestor now because it's a link to the human design, which we'll also cover in the training. So human design it was kind of channeled by Ra Uruhu, which was also a manifestor. And there are like different types of and these types are the manifestor, the projector, the generator, and the reflector. And with the generators, there are two types. There is the normal generator and there is the manifesting generator. And the only reason why I'm taking this into the Becoming a Magician training is that depending on your design, the energy or the chi flows differently in your body. So you have different approaches to life. Yeah. And to me, human design or any kind of horoscope is never that I'm reading that and then I feel like I have to be that. Or, like for me, it's always just like I live my life and then I read something and I'm like, oh, wow, that's really true. You know, like it only for me, it's only valid if I can say, oh, yeah, I didn't really learn something new about myself, but a lot of things make more sense now. And that's how I go into any kind of like session where people want readings or want to know more about their horoscopes. Is about like you read it and you read your own sign and then you tell me if you resonate with it. And if you like feel like it's totally off, then we look at another kind of horoscope because we always find one horoscope like there is the Mayan calendar, there's normal astrology, there's Chinese calendar, there's the Celtic tree horoscope, then there's human design. So there is a lot. There's the I Ching that also has like a horoscope to it somehow, and so like there are various places where we can find a way that resonates with you. But human design resonates with most people if you explain it to them right, because it's just the way that your energy flows. Yeah. For example, I'm a manifester, so I'm an energy type. I think manifestors and manifesting generators are the energy types or generators as well. Like, see, that's already where I'm not interested anymore because to me, it's only interesting that we all have our motor, that's our chi, like that's the hora, the source, the shakti that produces or is connected directly to source. So it's directly connected to energy. And the chi that flows through our aura, through our physical body, through everything, and that we want to when we want to become magicians, want to bring out into the world our own chi, yeah, our own energy signature put into the world. So all our chi comes from the same place in our body, but the way it acts within our body and the way we can access it is different. So, for example, I'm a emotional manifester. There are different types then too, so it's a whole thing. But I will like make it very easy and easy accessible because I only want to work with it. Like I don't want to explain you the whole theory because it's like I will give you like a whole picture of what's going on, but like all the deep stuff is so mental. It's for other people than me to teach and to like dive into. It's just too complex for me. I'm not interested when things are so mental. But the interesting thing for me is how can we live it? How can we experience it? How can it make our lives easier? And a lot of us are um, not mastering our energy and not becoming a magician in our own life because we feel that something is different with us that's not good. And human design gives you this, or also the other horoscopes give you this beautiful understanding that everything's perfectly fine with you. You just don't work like everyone else. Like nobody works just like that. There is no normal. Yeah. And to explore how the energy works within your own body. So I'm an energy type again. That means that I have constant access to energy if I want to. But if I just use that energy, I will burn out very quickly. I burned out 3 times before the age of 26, like officially. So that's a very manifestive thing to do if you work a normal job and you give your energy to things that might not resonate with you. So um, it's also a sign for developmental trauma when you have so many burnouts, but that's on another note. So the perfect way for me to live would be a way where I can go totally with the flow. And manifestors flow like 80% of the time, we just hang out, like we just chill. We might read books or be traveling or whatever. And then 20% of the time, we explode into a new idea. Like, I have many examples for that. Like when I wrote my symbol book, when I wrote my Being Human book, when I produced my web app. So there might be a time, like even 2 years, of me being fully depressed because I'm not productive and I really almost do not have energy for things. And then suddenly I explode and I have this one full year of energy where I just sleep 6 hours a night and work every day, like full power. So, and that's like my energy, and it doesn't always come in these like long waves. Yeah, it can also be that one week I'm feeling very low and very tired and I don't want to do much, and then the next 3 days I'm like full power and I have so much creative energy and I have this idea that I didn't have 2 weeks before. Yeah, so that's just how my energy flows. And now that doesn't mean that um, according to that I have to quit my job and I have to change all my life, but I can live more according to that energy when I know about it. And I can also forgive myself more easily for being tired or being lazy, as I'm conditioned to think about it. Um, when when I know that it's part of how my energy flows. And the more we live with that and we like just experiment with it, because Uruhu said that the human design system should be experimented with. You should know your signature and your um like your approach to things, and then you just should experiment with it. And like the longer I live with it and the longer I look back on my life, I think I came across it first like 2013 or something. Um, the more I really have to say, yeah, it matches how I work, how my energy works. And just to give you another example, like me, I have this closed aura. Manifestors have a closed aura. And so if I do not communicate with others, oftentimes they do not really understand what I'm about to do or what I'm up to. Yeah. And I have to, like, I'm the one that starts things. Yeah. I'm the initiating factor. That's why this class is so good to be done by me. Like I'm good in teaching people new things because I'm about the new, and people that are attracted to my energy also are more future oriented or about new things. And because that's like kind of my signature, if you spend time with me, I will transform your aura into something new, like without me consciously doing anything. But that's like what a lot of people say, that like just being with me has changed something and they can't really describe it. And I can't describe it either. And I'm not like bragging here, right? Like it's not something that, like for a manifestor, it's kind of lonely because my aura is closed. So if I do not communicate, nobody feels me. Like people always just have these projections onto me that they feel are me, but it's not me. And if I do not talk and say what I mean and what I feel, they will just have a picture of me that is not the reality. So it's not like, like, oh, it's so cool to be a manifestor. Like it has its cool parts, but it also has its super annoying parts. And like that is also being a projector. Like projectors are the ones that are really good in projecting energy outwards. So I believe that a lot of the successful influencers, those that really sell products that they love and that they really or like they really believe that they work, and they also do not sell just any product, but they influence with a certain kind of product and they stay with that kind of product. I believe most of them are projectors, because that's exactly the projector thing to do. Like if I ever have the money to hire somebody to do my social media marketing and or my social media appearance, that will be a projector. Simply because they are exactly like if a projector likes what I do, they can really tune into my work, and then they can project exactly what the outside needs to the outside world, because that's what I'm not good at. Like I'm a manifestor. I'm just here downloading new shit and then I'm putting it out into the world, and as soon as it's there, like I want to do other things, right? I'm like I'm already in a new flow. I want to do something else. So also that's why a lot of manifestors struggle with money, or like with, let's say, just stable financial success or stability in their lives, because our energy doesn't work that way. Like I came to peace that I will live many lives in one, and that's totally fine with me. But yeah, sometimes like it's it's just funny. Like and also projectors, like they can really, like if they love what the product that they want to talk about, they can really just put it out there and be like, oh yeah, it's good for that and for that and for that. And I, as a manifester, I'm so, like, I'm kind of far away from everything that happens in the world. I have to be, because I'm here to bring the new. But that makes me feel very disconnected and also sometimes unable to tell people what my things are good for, because I just do them. I need other people, like projectors or generators, to then try what I do and think, oh, it's amazing. It has this and this effect. And then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It has that effect. Oh, perfect. And then I can work with that effect more. But oftentimes, without that outside mirror, like, and I'm this kind of manifest that really needs outside people to like have this feedback. Oh, okay, work with that. Okay, now I can like do more of that. And I can, like I need that to understand. I wouldn't understand it by myself. So yeah, like it's super interesting. I don't want to go deeper into this. I just wanted to give you some examples. Like there's plenty of information online wherever you go to look. But that will be a part because the energy flows differently. And that's why I chose these two examples, because me as a manifester, I'm the one to initiate. Yeah, I shouldn't ask for permission. I should just like go and maybe inform other people that I'm going, that I will do that. But then I should just go. Yeah, as long as it's not harming anyone. And the projector needs to wait for invitation. If the projector just like projects his energy out there and is not invited to do so, it will feel like an attack to other people. Other people will feel attacked by this energy because it's so strong. You can imagine like a laser beam. Projectors have this laser beam energy. And so like oftentimes when I worked with projectors, they were like, when I told them this, they were like, that's why sometimes people feel so uncomfortable with me. And I was like, yeah, exactly. Because like, if you, like you see, they see a lot. So they want to give a lot of advice. But if the other side didn't ask for that advice, it will feel even more unwelcomed if a projector gives it, because they have this strong energy with it. It's very interesting. So the projector has to wait for invitation. And that's important to know, because you don't have to wait for it. Like you can create invitation in your life. Yeah, you can create that. When other people around you know that you need to be invited, they will invite you more. But it's something that you need to know. Otherwise, you maybe have the experience that, like you're normally very quiet around other people, but then when somebody starts to talk to you, you suddenly like open up and you talk a lot. Then you might be a projector, because that somebody gave you the invitation to show yourself, and then you showed yourself. Okay? So yeah, it goes deeper than that, but I just wanted to give some examples. And yeah, I hope this was interesting to you. I'm really happy because, again, human design are also stories. And like a lot of people in the human design community, to me, are too much like merged personally with their own story. They're like, like I'm a manifester, so I'm this and that. And to me, it's always just like one part. It's one simple part of who I am. It's not like my identity. It's not that I like have to live true to my design to be happy. That's all not true. It's just an inspiration for maybe experiment with something, And yeah, so it's also a story, and it's again a proof of how much we identify with a story has a large impact on our lives. And with a lot of stories we identify consciously, and with some we identify subconsciously. And sometimes it's very interesting to look at the subconscious ones and see what else we can just integrate, because funnily enough, it's never about getting rid of something. It's just about integrating everything into the energy that we came here to be. It's not about getting rid of the energy we were born into. It's about integrating it all into who we are and then living that out. So yeah, I wish you a lovely weekend ahead, and I look forward to talk to you again next week, and I hope you enjoyed this episode a lot. Much love and have a good day. Bye-bye.